Apple is lying to you about the iPhone Air. If they were being honest, no one should buy this phone. And look, that's not to say this is some terrible phone you shouldn't buy, but I can tell you honestly, after living with this phone for the last couple of weeks, I can confirm everything you've heard about it so far is true. Battery life is super hit or miss. Only having one camera and missing the ultra wide is kind of a bummer, but also in a lot of ways, this phone is very unique and unlike any iPhone we've had in a long, long time. If we're being totally honest, most people would be better served going with an iPhone 17 that kind of has more features, or upgrading to an iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max, but I don't think that's the story or the purpose of the iPhone Air. I think that Apple has 4 big things they're hiding about the Air they don't want you to know, at least not yet. But if you dig a little in Apple's history, you'll quickly find out the iPhone Air isn't just about making this thin phone with one camera, but it's about kind of a rebrand of the entire company. Let me tell you this wild story, give a huge thanks to my friends at SHARGE for sponsoring this video, and sort of tell you where this story begins, not in 2025 with John Turnus, but all the way back with Steve Jobs himself in 2008.
This is that Sony product. This is the MacBook Air.
What you're about to witness, and I apologize, this lower quality archival footage here, is one of the greatest Apple keynote moments of all time. Steve Jobs is going to go over, grab a seemingly kind of, innocuous envelope here, and then seamlessly pull out a super thin, insanely lightweight for the time MacBook Air, and the crowd is going to go wild.
This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is.
Obviously, Apple would play into the Air's theme heavily in their marketing and promotional materials for months and years to come, but that was only half of the MacBook Air's story. The other half of the story here with this computer was way more controversial because, in a lot of ways, this was kind of like a Frankenstein Mac that we had never seen before, and honestly probably should have never been made. It had, at the time, many shocking, deal-breaking compromises. It did not have a DVD or CD-ROM drive. People were absolutely flabbergasted by that. It had a weird little compartment that revealed USB ports because you still had to plug things into the computer. And then it could be configured with a hard drive or, for the first time, a brand spanking new, a first for Apple, solid-state drive, otherwise known as an SSD, but the capacity there was a mere 64 gigabytes. That's right, a 64 gigabyte drive in this computer, which even for 2008 was not a whole lot. That 2008 computer was very experimental, had some weird compromises, and also was priced in a more premium way. It wasn't like it was priced as some budget offering, it was much more expensive, but also showed that Apple was willing to experiment a bit, kind of like another Air that we have today. This kind of follows a very similar pattern. It's priced in a premium way, obviously. It's got some weird omissions and some glaring compromises, but also gives us a little taste of what is to come. Just like the MacBook Air, that original model kind of was a trailblazer in a lot of ways for Apple products that we got, for the next decades to come. I think this shows us some big moves that Apple is going to be making in the not too distant future, starting like in just a couple of months. One of the most obvious things the iPhone Air shows is about sort of the future of the company, and Apple executives have not so gracefully dodged the obvious question, is that this seems almost like just, one of 2 parts to the Apple folding phone. We know Apple's developing a folding phone. We know it could be coming as soon as next year in 2026. And if you look at the iPhone Air, man, if you could just sandwich another one of these on the other side, not only would you have a folding phone, but it would fix all of the problems with this phone. It would give you another camera, it'd give you a bigger battery, it would give you more speakers. It would sort of be, dare I say, the perfect iPhone, and it kind of seems obvious that that's exactly what Apple is intending to do. A lot of this DNA is going to be in the new iPhone Fold or iPhone Ultra that we'll see in basically a year from now. And like I mentioned in the intro of the video, battery life on the iPhone Air is certainly going to be a compromise. It's just not going to be as good as you would like, which means you're going to need some portable power solution to keep your phone recharged and actually usable, which is why my friends at Charge are here to help with a duo of really amazing power solutions that are slim, powerful, and here to perfectly complement your iPhone and desperately give it the extra battery life it needs. Their AeroMag lineup is extremely powerful while also being somehow insanely lightweight. You can plug it in for 20 watts of fast, beautiful wired charging speeds, or stay totally wireless with full Qi 2 certification on both of these units that gives you full 15 watts of fast wireless charging power. And it's not just the anodized aluminum or the beautiful color hues that make these both feel so premium, but it's the fact you're getting all of this and all of this power in a package that's not even 1 centimeter thick. It is insanely thin, it's lightweight, and is so nice and refreshing to not add so much bulk to your brand new iPhone. You've got two options to choose from depending on your charging needs, 5 or 10,000 milliamp hours, and using them both is as simple as snapping them on, your phone starts charging, and you're good to go. They also both do support pass-through charging as well, so you can be charging the battery bank with a wire and then wirelessly charging your phone at the same time, so sort of doing both at once is really nice. And again, it comes down to feeling so premium, so thin, and kind of like an extension of your iPhone. If you just got a new iPhone, you're enjoying the new colors and the build quality and the power. You want something that complements it so well, and that is what I love about the AeroMag lineup. It's not bulky, it's not going to be an eyesore, it's super thin, lightweight, going to give you the power you need to help the battery life of your iPhone, but doing it in like the best way possible. If you're looking for some great portable power solutions for your iPhone, my friends at Charge and their AeroMag lineup are going to be the way to go. If you want to learn more, add some much needed power to your iPhone and check them out and what they've got to offer, link is going to be right down below in the description. The second thing this shows us is that Apple is looking to solve some real-world problems, and they're going about it in some very interesting ways. Now, we obviously know that Apple loves their control. They want to own as much of the iPhone experience as possible, so beyond just the software and the hardware working together, they've got the A19 Pro in there. They've got the C series of chip handling all of your cellular and data needs. They've got the N series of chip now handling Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Owning that much of their own sort of silicon stack inside of this phone gives them incredible control. And especially, that's very important, when the battery in this phone is so slim and thin and limited, they need those chips to be as efficient as possible, to be as least taxing on that battery as possible, because battery is going to be an issue. But it does seem kind of obvious that the next frontier of hardware that Apple might be looking to break into is battery technology itself. If they could figure out how to radically improve, mobile batteries, they could make them more efficient, they could use different cell technology or battery chemistry or whatever it is, they could not only make their phones have crazy battery life, but they could bring those same improvements to the Mac line and the iPad line and really shake up the industry. The third thing this shows us, and again, I gotta give Apple credit, like the original MacBook Air from 2008, it shows that Apple is willing to innovate and experiment in public. And especially lately when we've seen Apple make so many safe bets and calculated moves, it's nice to see them shake things up. And especially when it probably would have made more financial sense for them to go with an iPhone Ultra or keep making the Plus phone, they decided to do something different. They went with this crazy slim, thin, and lightweight Air, and I've got to give them credit for that. Despite the drawbacks and compromises, it certainly is a different experience. It looks different, it feels different, it functions different than every other iPhone in the lineup, and love it or hate it, that uniqueness isn't something we've seen from Apple in a while, and kudos to Apple for at least trying something different, and I do appreciate that with the Air. And then finally, maybe the most exciting thing here is that I think the iPhone Air might be sort of not so subtly hinting at a major refresh and rebrand coming to every Apple device, and specifically the tiers that we have. For example, remember that 2008 MacBook Air, that was not the budget entry-level Mac. This thing was higher priced, it was more premium, and over the years, the Air has sort of lost that sense. Now when you think of Air with the iPad and the Mac, you think of sort of the more middle tier, the more budget-focused solution. It's not not exactly the more premium, more jaw-droppingly sort of shocking thing that we think about that we got with that manila envelope reveal back in 2008. But it seems like with the iPhone Air, maybe Apple's looking to sort of return to the origin of the Air and sort of refresh things, especially if those rumors are true of a budget-focused Mac with that sort of re-entry of the MacBook name. That could be the new budget-focused laptop that would free the MacBook Air up to be a little bit more premium and experimental. Same goes for the iPad Air. If Apple could sort of separate the iPad units out more, we have a budget iPad that could be that budget-focused offering. We've got the iPad Mini, we've got the Pro. Maybe the iPad Air should lean a little bit more into the thinness and the uniqueness that the Air was once known for. I think just sort of rebranding the Air name, especially with the iPhone Air showing us, to sort of be more unique and more, I don't know, just different from everything else, might sort of be exactly what Apple needs, and hopefully something we see in the next, I don't know, 12 months or so. So I'm curious to know, what do you guys think about the iPhone Air? Do you think this is a true trailblazing device, something that is kind of like Apple experimenting a bit in public? Or do you think that it's just a one-off of Apple trying to cash in on a little bit of the thin and light craze and trying something new? Drop a comment down below and let me know. I'm having fun getting outside for a little bit and using this phone, so I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a different style video. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see ya in the next one.